Lift Up every Monday to Friday, 3:15 p.m. Well, Ontario is on its third lockdown. Here I come for a little inspiration, ideas, and thought thinking, which is what thinking is, thoughts. The words don't always make sense, folks. All right. Anyway, today we are going to talk about living your life through your values. And this is not typically a topic area that I'm by any means would consider myself an expert in. It's not, it's something I'm really passionate about. And I'm going to share a couple of resources that I think are really, really critical and excellent that will help you. But I actually had a presentation today, or not a presentation, but a facilitation today for a group of incredible people through the leadership program. And we were talking about values and living them and combining them and putting them into your work and just what that looks like. So we had a really good time, but through all of I got to pull this program together, which is not, by the way, how I recommend speakers operate. Like, you're supposed to kind of have an expertise in something, not kind of, and then you go out and do the work. So please know, but it actually was really awesome. And the reason why I actually felt comfortable doing it is two reasons. Two people who I think are incredible. Number one is Brant Menswear, who or Menswear. I don't know how to say it. Oh my God, I better ask him. He's a friend of mine. Anyway, look, this book has been used so much, I've got gook on it. I'm sorry. Anyway, here it is. It's called The Black Sheep: Unleash the Extraordinary, Awe-Inspiring, Undiscovered You. And this is all about your values, finding your black sheep values. So I will tell you what that means. And I am definitely going to recommend you to go to this book. And then the other one is someone who mentored me for a while, and it's a lady by the name of Colleen DuPont. And Colleen has actually moved overseas and to France with her husband from the States. And so I asked her today, I said, hey, can I use some of your stuff? Because I'm going on air to talk about values. So let's go through this. I think what would be good as we go through this, and by the way, if you are on LinkedIn, please let me know you're there in the comments. Thank you, Stephen, for applauding my efforts on LinkedIn. I'm doing this every day, Monday to Friday, because I want to stay sharp so that when I'm speaking to clients, so I've had 2 presentations today, which is like, I don't think there's a better way for me to spend my day, right, is doing that. And, but I want to be sharp, right? Because it's not like I'm on the road all the time and whatnot. So I do this. So thank you. I'm glad to see you here. So hi, Greg. Welcome. Here's what I did for this presentation, how I started it. Now, these are just some slides, like what are the values? Why do they matter? And how do you find them? And then how do you live them? Because I think so often what we end up doing is we come up with our values and we don't integrate them into our lives. Like, how many companies do you know that just put it up on their wall along with their mission statement and whatever else, is up there, and they don't actually integrate their values? So the values are really your essence, at least the way I look at it. It's the lens through which you want to make decisions, and it's when you're in the toughest times, when you're stressed, when the pressure cooker is just heating up and the steam has not let go yet, we need to call on our values so we make the right decisions. And not knowing them, you may not even understand why you're not in flow. But as I was working through this boot camp today with these group of incredible ladies, like, there was even one who said, oh, I'd never thought of this word to describe me. And as she was talking about it, I was like, oh my gosh, you're in sales. When you're with clients, like, I need you to use that word because it's so aligned with who you are. And so we just know, like, and when we know what our words are, and one of my core values will not shock you, it's optimism. Like, there could be a tornado around me and I'd be like, oh, well, at least I don't have to like rake the leaves. Like I just have optimism. It is a core value, but I live it in everything I do, and I don't even try. It just happens to come out. And so when I went through Brant's program, and I'm going to actually give you the link if you would like it. I will put that in the comments at the end so you can take his test and find what he calls your flock of 5 values. And the reason his book is called Black Sheep is because apparently a black sheep's wool cannot be dyed, it cannot be altered. It just is so authentically black sheep. It is what it is. And his purpose is helping every person find their black sheep qualities, their values, so that they can line their life. And why I think this matters so much is because if you're out of flow and you don't know your values, it might actually be the key is to understanding why you're not in flow if you're going against your values. The other piece is if you're working in a team, if you're if you're really believing in values and your company has values, right? Like, so say your company value is creativity, or innovation, but the people on your team, they don't necessarily share the exact same values. But what if their value is, I don't know, it could be authenticity, right? So and this is what Brant talks about with his corporate clients, is how do you bridge authenticity to creativity? So everybody is working from their juju, their place, their core values. And then collectively, everybody rises. Like, to me, that's just fascinating. But for me, I'm on my own, so I don't necessarily have to worry about that. But there's a great quote from Walt Disney. Let me pull it up here. It's not hard to make decisions once you know your values. And so true, because your values can be the lens through which you see everything. And so, as I was saying before, so understanding that optimism, which is just something I've always kind of known about myself but never really articulated, knowing it's one of my flock of 5, I am able to get my thing here. I'm able to incorporate that. So one of the things I know with my coaching clients is if they're not feeling optimistic, if they're in the weeds, if they're just drowning with the noise and can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, that what I'm going to do is I'm going to be there for them. They might text me and say, Allie, I need your help. I just can't get out of the weeds. And I'm like, all right, I got 10 minutes and 20 minutes from now, call me then. And we'll work through it. But the thing is, what I realize is, I think that why that works is because I can always see the light. I can always have the silver lining thinking, because it's just a part of my core values. And I've trained it and all of that. But one of the things that came up today, I hope this is making sense. Like I said, it's not my area of expertise, but I think it's something we all need to know and really think of. Now, my friend, I'll actually show you this, because this may resonate with you. If you just look at this very long piece of paper with all these adjectives, this is from my friend Colleen DuPont. Okay, I'll make that bigger, .com. She's all about helping people stop living the life other people want you to live. And so when you look through these different adjectives and find the ones that work for you, then you can start to process or start to get really clear on what your values are. So if you need that in any way, let me know and I can send you a copy from Colleen. She gave me permission to use that. But what I think is so great about this is once you know, then you have to live it. So knowing it and not living it is not going to do anything. Like, it's not going to work. So how do you test it and test it and test it? Oh, look at this. James is here. James, awesome. I was so proud to be with you and your team. Just an incredible day today. So thank you very much. James, I put him up there on the screen as a comment. That was good. That was my first talk today. Not the one on values, just on, but on resilience. So absolutely loved my time with each and every one of you. All right. So how do we incorporate our corporate values? So the first thing you would do, of course, is understand what they are. So you work through, and like I said, I'll put in the comments his online worksheet so you can find your flock of 5 values. So that's great. Once you have them, then you have to figure out, how am I going to tweak them? And am I really living them? And are they a non-negotiable? Because like a non-negotiable value is different than a I think I should have it value. When Brant and I were talking, I guess it would have been several weeks ago now, he was sharing like a lot of people say that leadership is a core value. And he'll push back and he'll say, but have you ever been on a team and not been a leader? Have you ever done anything when you're not a leader? Well, then you're not really, that's not a non-negotiable core value that's going to align everything that you have and how you show up. Here's Greg's got a comment regarding knowing it and not living it. When words and actions don't match, it throws everything out of alignment. Couldn't agree more. It is. And I think sometimes people are out of alignment and they don't know why they're out of alignment. And this could be the missing ingredient. So when I'm pessimistic, which is rare for the record, but when I can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, or that, the silver lining in something, I guarantee you I'm not having a good day. But it's not necessarily because something is going wrong. It's because I'm not aligned. So yeah, we need to live it and be with it. So here are my ways to live it. So first of all, put it somewhere up close so you can always see it. And when you're not in flow, testing. Am I living my values? Am I not? But then we got to test against it. And here are some little questions that I've come up with to help. And this is through did I come up with these questions because I'm brilliant? Not necessarily. Because I went and I read a whole bunch of other things. And I was like, okay, well, what about this? As opposed to my resilient stuff where it's just I lived experience and I chose it. So here we go. Number one question to ask about a values, if it's in your life, is to look back on those pressure cooker moments in your life. When the pressure was hot, did the value guide you? Okay, so there's one way to look and see if you're living them. The second way is to look at your calendar and decide, does it reflect my core values? So for me with my coaching or my speaking, even this lockdown lift up, I can look at my calendar and every time I'm doing one of those things, I guarantee you I'm living my values. Because I'm, helping people, another one of my core values is growth and continually trying to learn and get better and go to that next level, right? So does your calendar reflect your values? The next one I think is quite interesting. If I offered you $1 million or $1 billion, you can put whatever number makes sense to you. And the deal was you got the money, but you had to lose the value. Would you take it? And so for me, with optimism, you could offer me, $1 billion. And if you told me I had to be a pessimist for the rest of my life, I couldn't take it. I'd be like, I don't know how. I don't know what to do with that. It's not going to work. So, right? So it's a good way to look. But if it were something else, like leadership, which is, very vague, I don't always have to be leading. Fine. Okay. So I never lead again. Self-leadership. I guess maybe that's not a good example, but you know what I mean? It's not the non-negotiable. And the fourth question to ask, to test if it's living it or not, is about longevity. And is this core value something that 2 decades ago I would have said I was living, and 2 decades from now I imagine will still be a core for me? If it is, then it's probably could be a core value for you. So isn't that fun? There are my thoughts. So I hope that has given you a little lift up for the lockdown. And my thinking here is, here's what I'm hoping. I'm going to inspire you to sort of question, if you haven't done it already, what are my core values, to actually do some searching to get that. And so find your flock. Hold on. I'll tell you what the website is, and then I'll put it up in the comments. Findyourblacksheep.com is Brant's website for this. And it's like, I highly recommend the book. When it came out, I actually did a whole review on it and everything. Like, that's how much I believe this is important. So my hope is, number one, I'm going to inspire you to really dig into what are your core values. The second thing is, James, you're funny. Take the $1 million and run. Is that what you're saying? Oh, that's funny. Okay. So figure out what the values are. Figure out if you are living them. And if you're not, how can you design your life to live your values? So an example, a friend of mine is a business owner, and she has like a value. I don't even know how I describe it in one word, but she's very much about people, high-end service. I'm going to throw a bit of kindness, but just like, being authentic and, reputation and all of that. Anyway, she had connected with a company, a very senior person, and was exploring working together and doing some of the work. So independently of that conversation, was in the airport and saw a guy who was really rude, to the point where, not knowing who it was, she actually texted her husband and said, "Oh my God, you wouldn't believe this a-hole who I'm watching right now. He's such a jerk," right? And so anyway, they ended up sitting beside each other. Turns out he was actually like the second in command of that company that she was wooing. And her core values say, I'm not aligned with that. So she walked away from selling that deal. And like, that takes guts, but that's when you know who you are, when you know your values and what you stand for. It's easy to say no to this decision or no to this opportunity because it doesn't align. Because you know that there are a million opportunities out there for you, and you can look to one that is more aligned with you. Because if she would have kept going down that road and ended up working with that guy, it would have been miserable. He would have been a jerk to her staff. She would have just not been aligned, right? So that we can start making business decisions around our values. The other thing we can do is we can sell ourselves around our values, right? And not to say these are my values. I mean, like, when you know it, you can, one of the people today said that she really aligned with the word endurance. And okay, so she's like, I just go the distance. Like, whatever I'm working on, I just keep going until it gets done. And I'm like, okay, well, that is a value proposition for others, because our values define us. And it's the lens, our essence through which we operate in the world. But I think the key is it's also how we show up and offer value to others. That can be a bridge, right? A jumping off piece. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So when you're talking in your meetings, your sales meetings, be sure to bring that in. Like, just say, like, I have a high value of, now she wouldn't use this, like, put it in your own words and have it come in, but just saying, like, look, I'm never giving up on anything. Like, if we're on a mission, we're going to get this done. We're going to get it done. And I won't quit until it's done. So that's how our values can integrate into our lives. It also, if you have a value for, I don't know, we can look at that. What are those words again? We can go back here and look at some of these words. Let's just say you are, I don't even know if status is a word for you. I don't know. It could be anything, right? Teaching. So if teaching is a word for you and you're not in a world right now where you're actually actively teaching, then what can you add into your life? Is it social media where you're teaching like I'm doing in the idea around the LinkedIn lives? Is it, and for those of you on Facebook, I guess they're just lives now. They're not just LinkedIn lives. They're also on YouTube and Facebook. So all of that is there for you. And then you tweak it and tweak it and tweak it and tweak it and challenge them until you get your flock of 5, like your real core flock of 5. And then you just look through the lens of that. It's really freeing and exciting. Okay. Well, for a person whose expertise is not what are we calling this? Values. What am I talking about? Not expertise is not values. I certainly can riff on pretty much any topic. So I'm going to challenge you because today's what, Wednesday? On Fridays, the lockdown lift ups have become the wild card topic, and I pull it out of the book. And I'm going to make Thursdays the throw it out there Thursdays. So somebody needs to give me a topic. All right, for tomorrow, in the genre of something I could talk about, but you got to give me a topic, and I'll just pick one from whatever comments come or send me a DM. Okay, so obviously keep it clean, and we'll make it a reason, like a topic that I can riff on, but I'll just riff on whatever it is. So it's throw it out there Thursdays, wild card Mondays, or no, Fridays, motivational Monday. We'll come up with something for every day, because who knows how long this lockdown is going on. Right now we're going 6 weeks, and it could be longer. I don't know. I didn't look at the news yet today because I want to stay in my little world of serving online. Thanks for the lesson on the black sheep. Isn't that cool? Absolutely fascinating, this book. I really hope you guys will get a copy. Brant is just such an incredible human on so many levels, but what he's doing in the corporate space that's coming up, he's going to have a new book coming out. Really excited about it, because it'll just put it all into practice for companies who are trying to figure out how they can align their culture with their values. So I'll leave it at that. This has been Lockdown Lift Up. Allison Graham here. I hope you have the absolute best day.